Maverick was still being held by Bonnie and Matthew in their arms. And so it's been a number of years since we first began our work here, and to see Maverick lead singing tonight was a special joy and encouragement to me. It is great to stand before you tonight and to have been able to stand before you over these last 15 years or so to deliver a message from God's Word and to work among you and to be built up and encouraged by you. And we began our work here in May, on a full-time basis, in May of 2001. But prior to that, we'd been driving over and preaching on Sunday nights, of course, back when we were still in the old building. And now the time has come in which we will be transitioning to a new work beginning January 1. Now, part of our reason for this report tonight and to explain to you our work is that I guess my demise has been greatly exaggerated. I've heard everything from that, oh, we're so glad you're retiring, to so you're going to be moving to Israel and living over there full time. And neither one of those are true. So a lot of people have been somewhat confused about what we would be doing. And especially since this congregation here and the elders have seen fit to support our work on a partial basis, along with Bear Valley Bible Institute and some other congregations with whom we'll be seeking support over the next few weeks and already have been, we'll be engaged in a new work that we're calling Bible Passages. We want to begin tonight by considering, though, the Great Commission. Go into all the world and preach the gospel. What a tremendous responsibility we have. And when we think about the world that we live in, indeed, there are a lot of souls on planet Earth, some 7 billion souls that inhabit planet Earth today. But let's remember those 7 billion souls are really individuals that are our family members, they're our neighbors, they're our co-workers, they are people that perhaps we know in our community, people that are on the other side of the world, souls that will inhabit eternity. That's a lot of souls to think about. And when we think about those 7 billion souls, we need to remember that those 7 billion souls are often looking and searching for answers. In fact, they're wondering which way they should go, just like I'm wondering about... There it goes. Come on now. There we go. Wondering about what path they should be on. And there are a lot of paths that people have placed before them. And we spoke about the worldviews that are in competition with one another. We spoke about that this morning. We have an obligation and a responsibility as the church to help be facilitators in guiding people down the right path. The way is straight, narrow is the way, and straight is the gate that leads to life, and there are few that find it. And so we want to try to help put as many people as we can down that narrow way, because on their own, they're going to have difficulty in finding the way home to heaven. That's why when we think about this great story in Acts chapter 8, and I'm just guessing I'll have to call on you to, there we go. In Acts chapter 8, we think about the story of the conversion of the Ethiopian. Remember that this was a man who had gone to Jerusalem. He had purchased a scroll, the book of Isaiah, and he was returning back to his homeland, and he was reading from the scroll, and Philip joined himself to the chariot. And do you remember the question that he asked him? Do you understand what you're reading? And he said, how can I except some man should guide me? God has placed within our hands the responsibility to guide souls to Jesus. Russell, if you'll go ahead and advance that, thank you. To guide souls to Jesus. A fundamental responsibility that has been placed within our hands, the gospel that is, that we must share with this lost and dying world. And how can I, the Ethiopian said, find my way, understand this, unless some man should guide me? The church has a collective responsibility, and each one of us have a responsibility of going in all the world and preaching the gospel, sharing the good news of Jesus. Let's see if it'll work. Now it's going too fast. So, what can we do? Well, one of the things that we can do, I believe, is get involved in the work of Bible Passages. And we're going to explain a little bit about what that work is, starting with these objectives here so that you'll have a general overview of what this work entails. Number one, it's an evangelistic and educational mission of the church designed to reach the lost and edify the church both in the United States and abroad. It's a work, of course, that Carla and I will be involved in. All right, this is what I'll do, Russell. I'm just going to ask you to advance it for me, okay? There we go, thank you. It's a ministry that John and Carla are reading it off. It's a ministry that Carla and I will be involved in, and many others, and the Dripping Springs Congregation, the Bear Valley Bible Institute, the World Video Bible School, and also the Southwest School of Bible Studies. So it's sort of a collective work that a lot of people will be participating in from a number of different perspectives, as we'll explain tonight. It's also a work that is committed to training preachers, to equipping the saints, to edifying or defending the faith, and to guiding souls to Jesus. And then also notice this, and this to me is something that's very important, and that is it's a long-term informational and training resource for the evangelistic and educational needs for the church. We want to create something that'll be around long after we're gone. Something that our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, collectively speaking, will have an opportunity to utilize as they seek to bring others to Jesus, but also as they prepare themselves to teach in a classroom environment, or as preachers are seeking to prepare their sermons and need photographs from the Bible lands, or photographs to create a PowerPoint presentation, or just photographs to use in a bulletin that might illustrate a point, and then teaching materials as well that will enable classroom teachers and preachers and just anyone around the world to know more about the unsearchable riches of Christ. So in a nutshell, this nice slide here will show you that these are the four areas that we're seeking to be involved in, and that is training preachers, equipping the saints, defending the faith, and guiding souls to Jesus. Then notice on this next slide that if you're interested in knowing about these works in greater detail with some photographs and more of our full-blown version of our ministry plan, then you can go to the website BiblePassages.net, or if you want to see the videos, BibleLandPassages.com, then you can look at those videos that we've been working on and have been involved in for quite some time. This church has supported that. All right, let's go to the next slide, Russell. So the four areas that I want us to quickly look at these are four goals, and then we'll talk about the objectives under each one of these goals. Our first goal is to guide souls to Jesus. It's all about evangelism. And notice that as we spoke about these 7 billion souls that are in existence on planet Earth today, a question arises as to how we're going to reach them. Well, we can, as we think about it and ask that question, how we're going to reach them, it's just almost staggering, really, in many ways, to try to think about that many souls. How can we effectively reach them? Well, we can build a church building, as we've done here, and as a lot of people have done around the world. And that's important, to have a place for us to meet, to have a vehicle that we can utilize in the community to make known the gospel, a vehicle that we can use for our families to come and to study and to learn, to be encouraged, to be edified. And we appreciate that opportunity to have this building here. We can also go door to door, and that's important, that's effective, inviting people into our homes where we study the Bible with them. But we know we live in a different age, an age in which technology is at everyone's disposal. And as a result of technology, a lot of people have begun to turn inward. They're not quite so concerned about maybe or likely to perhaps just invite you into their homes. I know that we can still go to some rural communities and people are a little friendlier there and maybe a little more open about sitting out on their front porch and talking with you about religious matters. But you go to some places like we did a number of years ago and knocked the doors up in Denton, Texas, and it was really hard. People didn't have any interest. They slammed the doors on us and we would hear them yell from behind a closed door, "Go away! We're not interested." And so the more technology comes to us and is at our disposal, it seems like we've become a little more closed off. So how can we reach those people? Well, I believe we need to use technology. And as we think about the interconnectivity of people and resources around the world, truly we are in a golden age of being able to communicate, notice this, to even someone in a tent, in a Bedouin tent over in Israel. Now this picture is a little bit old, but I wanted you to see it because it reminds us that for a long time now, really, people have been able to be reached in remote places by various devices. In fact, World Video Bible School was begun just on that premise. Some of you know Brother Rudy Kane. And a number of years ago, back in the early to mid 1980s, he was traveling down a river in Bangkok, Thailand. And as he's traveling down that river, he notices some individuals, a family, in this grass hut. It's got 3 sides and a roof to it. And he is able to peer into that home, and he sees this family sitting on the ground gathered around something, and then this gentleman stands up and he sees that they're gathered around a television. And the man reaches down and grabs something, and this is again in the early 1980s, and he picks up a VHS tape and he's looking at it. Well, that man had little by way of possession, but he had a television and he had a VHS tape. That's when Rudy Kane said, the world is ready for World Video Bible School, because we can reach a lot of people through that particular method. And as a result of that work established in 1986, they've been reaching souls all over the world, particularly preacher training schools that we'll talk about in just a moment. And so when we think about technology and its use, World Video Bible School, along with this congregation, had the opportunity to create Searching for Truth. And it was our privilege and a blessing to be able to write that script and to narrate that video series. In fact, it has now reached a lot of people. As you can see, 1.1 million DVDs have been distributed. Over 50,000 views on the internet, which is incredibly low. And one of the things that we're going to be trying to work on in our new work is create more viewership. And so it has been distributed in a lot of places. It's about 10 years old now. And so it needs some work, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. We think about not only the DVD, but also the book has been translated into several languages. But there are other languages that we want to make sure this material is translated into as well. In fact, one of them is Mandarin. We're very interested in that happening because of so much of the world's population that speaks that language. So, Searching for Truth, and your support of that over the years has allowed us to be able to be involved in works like this. But not only Searching for Truth and the work that has been done through World Video Bible School and reaching souls, but also the work that we've been allowed to do from time to time in Singapore and in Malaysia. Real excited about this work, and are spending some time over there off and on every other year, going to Singapore and spending time in Malaysia, because Singapore, as you can see, well, not on this next map, but Singapore is located right at the tip of that Malaysian peninsula, and it really is in many ways a modern-day Ephesus or a modern-day Thessalonica. It's a trade city. In fact, this next photograph represents to us the advancements that this country has made over the last several decades. It's one of the wealthiest nations in the world right now. It's an important place because, as this next slide will show, a lot of people are coming in and out of here. And there's a lot of cultures, as you will see, that have come to this place. You can go down the road and see a Muslim mosque. You can go down the road and see a Taoist temple. You can go down the road and see a Buddhist temple. You can go down the road and see a Hindu temple. But the greatest thing to me of all is that you can also go down the road and see this, not that, the next one. And that is a sign that says Lima Peen Road, and it is where the Lima Peen Road Church of Christ exists. It's one of several congregations that's on this small city-state. And that's an important place because they're doing a great work not only in Singapore, but they're also going to the Philippines. They're also helping brethren in places like Thailand. They're doing a great work, along with, as you're going to see here in this next slide, this is actually a picture of some work we were doing in Malaysia. But the next slide shows a picture of work that's being done in the past by Aaron and Jordan when they went with us several years ago, and Corey Myers, and training youth in the youth camp that we conducted. But then also here at the Jurong Church of Christ, at what is known as, also contained on the third floor, Four Seas Bible College. In the Four Seas Bible College, there are students there from Indonesia. There was a student there 2 years ago from Vietnam, a student from China, a number of students from Malaysia, and a number of students from the Philippines. It was exciting to see on our last trip the good student body. We even were able to Skype with our young people. Some of you might remember the day that we were Skyping with you here in that session. And they got to sing together in a devotional setting with students from the Four Seas Bible College. But the great thing about the work being done there is that, and you'll see in this next slide, a work that we are now involved with as well, and helping to support Brother Peter Chin and his wife, Pui Fun, a great couple. The work that they're doing and the work that we're supporting and the work that Carl and I will be involved in, and being able to go over there every other year and teach in the school is an exciting work to me, because students come there, but then they have to, from various places, but then they have to go back to where they live. Part of the problem with bringing students from other countries here to the United States is they tend to stay here. But in Singapore, you can only get a visa for 6 months at a time for these students. It has to be renewed every 6 months, and then a 2-year program means, with the government, means they have to go back after that 2-year program there. And so it's an exciting place. They speak English there, as well as many other dialects of the Chinese languages, especially Mandarin. But we're excited to have a small part in this work in the future. So this is then, those two things as well as these others are things as far as the greater goal that we have of guiding souls to Jesus in terms of evangelism, is to preach the Word in the United States and abroad, through various gospel meetings and seminars that we'll be conducting, sharing with others a Searching for Truth video and book, developing a condensed version of Searching for Truth for independent study guide. We've had several requests for that, to condense the book and the material in sort of a one-shot or a 2 or 3-shot sort of approach, much like Back to the Bible in the series that Bobby Bates created. We want to promote the use of Searching for Truth and the Searching for Truth website. Right now it's very basic. And one of the things that we can do by working on some of these efforts full-time, and through the help of World Video Bible School and through Jordan Moore and Aaron, who also will be helping us on a very limited basis, as they will also be working more with the University congregation in San Marcos, is to create more viewership, a friendlier sort of interaction with that website that will allow more information to be distributed and more people to participate in the watching of those materials. We want to update and improve the Searching for Truth video series. That's one of the things I mentioned a moment ago. It's now 10 years old, and so it's a little antiquated. I look a little different, not that that matters any, but the point is that the technology has improved. And we want to have less talking head on that video series and a lot more things moving in and out quickly, because we know that people's attention span, unfortunately, is a lot shorter than it used to be. So we want to update that. And then also, an important part of this work involves overseeing the translation of Searching for Truth into other languages. Not that we're able to do it, but that we need someone driving that, because the Mandarin, for example, has just been sitting out there for a long time, and there's no one really pushing that. And we need someone kind of getting that job done, making sure, as for sort of a project manager type approach, getting that work done. So we have a vision that we're excited about sharing with you as a congregation, that we know that you're supportive of trying to reach souls all over the world. But then secondly, our work involves training preachers. We're very excited about this because we believe this is a way to multiply our efforts. If we can train a number of preachers and then think about those preachers going out and sharing the good news, who would not feel excited about that? And so as we think about training preachers, these are two areas that we've been involved in, but we're going to increase our efforts, particularly with World Video Bible School, but especially this is what we're very happy about, and that is really what got the whole ball started this past summer when Brother Denny Petrillo called us and invited us to come and work with them. And so after much discussion about how this would develop and how it would work, feeling like that we needed to be close here for a lot of reasons to be able to work with World Video Bible School, and there was also another small reason. His name is Jackson. We were interested in that and being able to stay a little closer to home as well. We were able to work out an agreement with them where we go and live there for a few months at a time. We'll teach this coming January, February, and March in their third quarter program. And both Carla and I will be teaching. She'll be a part of the WISE program, as well as the new women's study program that they're developing now. Denver Bible Institute, just as far as a few facts are concerned, because people down in this part of the country may not know as much about them, has been a great brotherhood work since 1965. Go ahead and just bring all those up, Russell, if you don't mind. And over that period of time, over 1,100 graduates. They've had an initial focus that was in north central United States. They now have graduates from all over the U.S. and in 21 countries. And then their Denver enrollment, and we say Denver because they are an international school in the sense that they are helping congregations to take their curriculum and establish that curriculum in a school of preaching in places all over the world. But right now, just in Denver, they have 31 full-time men students and then 60 total students overall. You can enroll there part-time. But one of the things that's exciting to me about the Denver Bible Institute is not only their commitment to excellence and to an academic quality education with a great facility there in Denver, but the number of things that they do with their students in terms of the chapel cast, in terms of Brother Petrillo being involved in writing commentaries for Truth for Today, and their Foundations program. And then also they have a future preacher training school. But they also offer an accredited degree. That is, it's accredited by the state of Colorado. And so all those things to me were very attractive and very exciting. A school started by Brother Roy Lanier. And some of you might be familiar with that name. But a school who most of all is committed to glorifying God, saving souls, and training men and women to be preachers, evangelists, teachers of the Word of God. But then, not only do they have this school at Denver, they have then 24 schools that they are working with, scattered in 18 countries, with right now a present enrollment of some 400 preacher students and growing. Troy Spradlin was directing the school down in Paraguay. And you might remember him talking about that. They had about 4 or 5 students there. What's Bear Valley's role in that? Bear Valley will go down there and help that congregation establish a school, a curriculum. That school is under the oversight of the local body there. Bear Valley will provide instructors and provide accreditation in the sense, or sign off on a certificate that they've completed these number of courses. But it's an exciting sort of fellowship and partnership, if you will, that exists between Bear Valley and these schools. And this next slide will show some of those locations. Hit it one more time, I think. Sorry, go back. It shows where a number of their schools are existing, and then another one that they're working on even over in the Philippines right now. So it is truly international in that sense. So they like to call it the Bear Valley Bible Institute International. So that'll take up a good part of our work. In 2017, we'll be going over there January, February, March. We'll live there in Denver. We'll keep our home here. We'll come back, and then we'll be working with World Video Bible School, some of Southwest School of Bible Studies. We'll also be conducting our gospel meetings and marriage seminars. And then we'll go on a couple of short courses in October over back to Bear Valley. And then in 2018, Lord willing, we will spend the first and the third quarters there in Denver and the rest of our time here and in other places. So that pretty much, I think, if you'll go to the next slide, then sums up our work of training preachers. So guiding souls to Jesus is number 1. Training preachers is number 2. These are all a part of our Bible Passages ministry. But then number 3, we are very concerned about edifying the church, about still being involved in being able to go to places like Focal Point or Polishing the Pulpit and be able to conduct seminars. One of the things that has been pretty exciting for us is to be able to go and to work with a congregation, as I was able to do not long ago down in Katy, Texas, and spend time with the eldership there talking about counseling. They wanted a full weekend seminar where on Friday night for 3 hours and then all day Saturday we had simple, basic lessons on how to minister to people by providing counseling as shepherds and as individual Christians and helping people with their problems and their difficulties. One of the things that we've also had been privileged to do more and more of are the marriage seminars. And so now not being involved in a local work full time will allow us more opportunity to go to some of these places like we'll be next year in Mechanicsville, Virginia, and in North Carolina. So as far as our objectives under the goal of equipping the saints, here are the things that we'll be involved in over the next, again, hopefully to the end of our life. And particularly, notice this last point, expanding and developing then the Bible Land Passages website and work, which leads me to our fourth and final point, and that's this, that our work then involves, again, guiding souls to Jesus, training preachers, edifying the church through educational materials and seminars, but also in defending the faith. It's been exciting to be involved in the Bible Land Passages program. Now, Bible Land Passages is sort of a subset of Bible Passages. Bible Passages is going to be our work overall of things that we'll be doing in a number of places. Bible Land Passages is a subset that involves these three main objectives: to edify the church, realizing that a study of the Bible lands is unique, exciting, and encouraging, and walking in the steps of great heroes of faith identified in Hebrews 11 is both rewarding and transformative. Examining the evidence and experiencing the reality of the Bible lands will serve to uplift and reward. We also want to provide aids to the believers in terms of photographs, the video series that we're now working on, and of course, to defend the faith. We believe that it is essential that we gather the resources and information to document the archaeology, the history, and the geographical environs of the Bible lands to help people to see that the Bible story takes place in a real time and in a real place in history. It's not myth, it's not fiction, but we want to be a resource for the church to defend the faith, but also to provide materials and resources. Some of those have been presented in the Bible Land Passages videos program. If you haven't seen those are available free online, and every one of them will be available free online. If you want to have it on your own DVD, then they're available at a minimal cost. But they have an evangelistic and an edifying element to them. It's not just a documentary series about, well, look, here's the Western Wall and here's the Sea of Galilee, and isn't that nice? But yes, we want to defend the faith, but we also want to instruct and teach people. The last one we did that we were pleased to have Matthew participate in and be Goliath was an exciting one to us about David and the experiences that he faced in the land of Judah, and how that the land itself provided a sort of backdrop for the development of his own faith, and how that then he drew upon those surroundings and utilized imagery from those places to convey great messages about God's love, about God's power, about the peace that comes from God. So, whether it's that one or the next one that is scheduled to be released at the end of the year, is called Encountering or Coming into the Presence of the Lord. And it's about the southern steps that have been unearthed at the southern end of the Temple Mount complex in Jerusalem. Now, those southern steps that have been unearthed go back to the time of Christ. And they were an important area where Jews would gather, perhaps for teaching, or as they would prepare themselves as they went up into the temple of the Lord. And one of the things that they did before they went up there was to ritualistically immerse themselves in these ancient baptistries, or mikvahs. Now, that's important for a couple of reasons. One is that it reminds us of how seriously they took coming into the presence of the Lord. But it also documents for us the availability of these baptistries being there at the Temple Mount and scattered throughout Jerusalem, so that on the day of Pentecost, when 3,000 souls responded to the gospel, some have asked, how could that many people be baptized in one place on that day? Well, it was very easy for a number of reasons. One is that those 12 apostles could baptize others, and then they could baptize others, those that were being baptized. But there are also some 40 different mikvahs that have been unearthed and discovered at the base of the Temple Mount. And there's a large one on top of the Temple Mount. And there's some 150 ancient mikvahs, all going back to before the time of Christ. So it illustrates for us, again, that when the Bible reveals messages about what people did, there is evidence to document these events. That's what Bible Land Passages is seeking to do, as well as then teach people through that next video what they need to do to become a Christian. About the importance of baptism in the New Testament era, its essentiality. And Brother Rick Brumback will be narrating that. That will be our 6th video. And then we have another 20 to 25 more that we're going to be placing on this website, along with articles and photographs and materials that this congregation can use, congregations all over the Brotherhood can use in preparing their classes. So teachers can go to this website and find a photograph that may show the Sea of Galilee, and maybe they're teaching a lesson about Jesus walking on the water, and they can show students what the Sea of Galilee looks like. Or maybe Jacob is preparing a bulletin article that has something to do with the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, and he wants to put in the bulletin a picture of a tomb from the 1st century. Well, he'll have access to those photographs and other articles that we'll have people contributing to. So a lot of work to be done on that website that will be made available as a great teaching resource for the church. So, under Defending the Faith as our 4th goal then, these are the things that we're going to be involved in as our objectives to reach that goal of truly defending the faith, of being able to give an answer for what we believe. When we think about Bible passages overall, I want us to remember that, if you'll go to the next slide, Russell, and all the way down, that these are the things that essentially Bible passages is about a part of, including Bible Land Passages and all these other works. Our 2017 schedule has already been set and is pretty full, and one of the other things that we're very excited about this year is in July and in August, we will spend 2 months in Israel, and with 2 objectives. One is to continue to work on the Bible Land Passages video project and to continue to write about these areas, but also to see what we can find out to help the church in Nazareth. There is a church of our Lord in Nazareth, and we're very excited about getting to worship there every Sunday and to be a part of that congregation to help them where we can. Finally, as we think about Bible passages, Russell, if you'll go to the next one and just bring them all up. We believe in what we've been trying to encourage brethren to consider as we've talked to them about this work is that supporting Bible passages is a support for world evangelism. It really is a way to support 30-plus stateside preaching students indirectly. So when you support our work, this congregation does, as they've committed to doing, and we're so thankful for that, then you're helping to train 30-plus students here and others at the Southwest School of Bible Studies, and then also through World Video Bible School and the programs they have around the world. It will also have a ripple effect in aiding the growth and development of congregations. And then number 4, this to me is very exciting. It's an investment for the future of the church in terms of resources, education materials, and evangelism tools that we believe will be around hopefully a lot longer than we will be. Now, there is a handout at the back of the auditorium for those who might be interested that sort of summarizes what we've just talked about tonight. But they're also available in the office and on our website. If you want more information, detailed information with our schedule and things like that, then our Bible Passages ministry plan is available in the office or online, and you can see that and study more about it. Russell? Our last one then, again, just reminds us of these 4 areas. We want to thank this congregation so very much for your continued support of the things that we have been able to do together in the kingdom here in Dripping Springs and in other places over the years. And now the Lord has opened the door for us to do some more work in some other areas. And we are very excited about it, but we're also saddened knowing that we won't be here as much. But we know that you're in capable hands here with a great eldership and a great preacher and great families here. And we just covet your prayers and your encouragement. And we thank you so much for the opportunity to be involved in this work. And may God help us as we labor together in the kingdom of God. Tonight we extend the invitation of our Lord to you. We truly do want to guide souls to Jesus, because Jesus says He is the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father but through Him. And so We ask you tonight, do you know Jesus? Have you put Him on in baptism? And if you haven't, why not tonight? Why not be saved tonight? As together we stand and as we sing.
Have you all
Heart that's with